Back here on CBS Sports HQ, under a week to go until the NFL draft, and we're taking a look at the top tight end prospects in the upcoming draft. This is according to Christian Fauria, of course, former Penn State standout Tyler Warren, going to be making an appearance on the list, as he does on most lists that are top tight ends in the draft. Colston Loveland, Mason Taylor also in the mix. Our Ryan Wilson actually has Tyler Warren going as the first tight end off the board at number 14 to the Colts in his very latest mock draft over on CBS Sports. Let's welcome in the man himself, former NFL tight end, two-time Super Bowl champ, Christian Fauria. We see the trophies in the background, Christian. We're going to go through your top tight ends in the draft. But before that, I want to talk about the position as a whole, how it has changed so much before or since you've been a tight end. Kind of tell us about the evolution of the position as you've seen it.
Thank you for asking me this. I've been dying to talk about it. This whole idea of when people scout tight ends and they label them as traditional tight ends, I'm here to tell you that the traditional tight end has gone the way of the typewriter. They don't exist. A traditional tight end used to be, Jacqueline, right? And I was one of those guys way back in the mid-90s, right? They call a play in the huddle. They say, go to the right or go to the left. You go to the right or you go to the left. You put your hand in the dirt and then you block somebody or you go out for a pass. It was really, really simple. I mean, there are so many traditional tight ends. Kyle Brady was another traditional tight end, right? Mark Bruner, and there's more of us. They weren't the sleek, fast, nimble Renaissance men that exist now in college football. Because what happens with college football players now is that they line up all over the place. They line up short, they line up tight, they line up on the ball, they line up off the ball. They yip, they yap, they ying, they yo, they line up off the ball, and then they go back into the backfield. They line up wide, and then they motion in. It's the most demanding position in all of sports after the quarterback. And here are some of the guys that I was drafted with back in 1995. Three guys drafted in the top 39 picks. Ken Dilger was a great tight end back with the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know who Kendall Watkins is. I'm sorry, I don't remember him, but I'm sure he was a great guy. But the traditional tight end is dead. Like all these guys that we're going to talk about, they do everything. And the most annoying thing about scouting tight ends today is that you can't find them. They line up all over the place. It's like playing hide and go seek. I can't stand it. It drives me nuts.
So we're just going to take the traditional tight end phrasing and we're just going to throw it out the window. So let's get into these top 5 tight ends that we have in this upcoming draft. Your list, Christian, and we're starting here at number 5, a guy out of Bowling Green and Harold Fannin. Why is he cracking the top 5 of your list here?
Okay, so the production is insane. 117 catches, over 1,500 yards receiving. It's almost like it's not even real, Jacqueline, when you look at it. And then you look at who he had these catches and numbers against. Look at the game against Penn State. He had 11 catches. The very next game against Texas A&M, he had 8 for almost over 280 yards. The problem that people see in Harold Fannin Jr. is that he kind of runs funky. He doesn't have the greatest gait. He kind of reminds me of Jonnu Smith, to be honest with you, a little bit smaller, but he is more than capable. Those two teams I talked about, the Big Ten team and the SEC team, they couldn't stop him. They could not handle him. The very 2 first passes against Penn State, one was a seam route between 2 defenders. It was an unbelievable catch. And the next one he caught was for a touchdown. So I think Harold Fannin Jr., who's not getting a lot of respect and a lot of love, is absolutely going to be picked and be very productive for anyone who picks him.
Yeah, we see the most receiving yards by a tight end in a season, and Harold Fannin Jr. right there topping the list back from 2024. All right, let's go to number 4, and that brings us to Mason Taylor out of LSU. We know that he has that NFL DNA, but what else makes him such a special prospect in your eyes?
Yeah, can you imagine your dad is Jason Taylor and your uncle is Zach Thomas? Like, I battled both those guys. They're insane. Mason Taylor may be my favorite out of all these guys because I think he has literally the most upside of all of them. He is a baby, first of all. He's only 20 years old. He's going to be 21 in another month. But every single year since he was 18 years old playing at LSU, he has had over 30 catches. And last year was his best, over 50 catches. I mean, he's smooth, he's fast, he's got great hands. He's obviously got a great bloodline. The problem with Mason is that he's just raw. Like, the best thing for him is that if he gets the right tight end coach who coaches him up on how to place his hands and how to use his feet. I've heard other people talk about that he's weak. I saw this guy at his pro day at LSU rep out 225 pounds 28 times, and he didn't even slow down till he hit 22. So he's strong. The problem with him is he just doesn't know how to use his strength. He's very huggy. He's very catchy. He doesn't strike. Every now and then he gets pushed around. He just doesn't know how to use his strength yet. When he does, he's going to be dangerous.
All right, let's get into the top three. We're talking about Gunnar Helm out of Texas. Christian, how is his skill set going to transition to the next level?
First of all, if there is, for my Easter wish, if the New England Patriots could please draft him, I can only imagine him walking down Lansdowne Street and people saying, Gunnar, I'm your biggest fan. Oh, it's going to happen. I believe it. Here's the thing about Gunnar. He is probably the most technically sound tight end in this entire group. And that's all of them, even the top two. And if you look at what he did at his combine and how bad he looked and how unathletic he looked because he had this ankle issue, when you put the tape on, you realize how good he is. And he's sneaky athletic, and he's got great hands, and he's obviously not afraid to contact. And he's about as close to a traditional tight end, that word we said we weren't going to use anymore, as anybody in this list, because he was the easiest to find. When you're scouting him, he usually lines up attached. I mean, he does flex out every now and then, but he is really comfortable with his hand in the dirt. He did a couple things that I haven't seen any college tight ends do when it comes to hand placement. This is something that I used to love, called the high arm. I saw him do that earlier this morning. I was like, wow, much better than I gave him credit for. And talking to other scouts, you think that combine would hurt him. Most scouts and most coaches appreciate the fact that he was willing to show what he would be willing to go through and how tough he is. They like that part about his game.
All right, so Patriots brass, if you're listening, Christian's Easter wish is getting Gunnar over to New England. All right, how do you like my little Boston accent there? Wasn't great, needs some work.
I love it.
So Christian, we're in the top two, and this is where things get interesting, right? Because a lot of mocks here at CBS, including Ryan Wilson, as I talked about off the top, they have Tyler Warren as their tight end number one, but he is coming in at number 2 here for you. Why is that?
Well, when I look at him, this is why, you see everybody's going downstream. Well, I'm swimming upstream. And I'm not saying that I don't think he's a good player. I think he's a great player. I just think some of his production came from gimmicky methods and schemes and play calling. He's obviously very, very talented. His blocking wasn't great, but I don't knock him off as much for that, because I feel like he was literally lined up everywhere. He carried the ball 26 times. He was throwing passes. He was everywhere on the field, and he never came off the field. So I think he was saving his energy sometimes. But the biggest problem I think he's going to have is his separation. And some people may say, wow, he's so big it doesn't matter. Just get him the ball and he'll catch it. True, depending on what team he goes to. Now, if he goes to a team that has a quarterback that isn't sure or isn't accurate, his body just girth isn't necessarily going to benefit him as much as it would in college, when he is absolutely a mismatch for anyone who covers him. 17 catches against USC. This is the type of guy when you just know eventually when the team needs a play, they're going to him, and he usually makes him pay. He reminds me of a little bit of Jeremy Shockey with the hair. Hey, he wears the number 44 because his dad loved John Riggins. So he is tough, he is physical, he has a mean disposition, and I think he just loves playing football. But I think when it comes to the technical aspect at the next level, I think the next guy that we're going to talk about is a little bit better.
All right, let's talk about him. Colston Loveland out of Michigan. There are some reports out there that the Bears could be eyeing him around that number 10 pick potentially, but what makes him number 1 on your list here of tight ends?
Okay, so true story right now. Researching this guy, watching him, I was watching his 2024 tape, and I didn't really get it. I was like, I don't see what all the fuss is about. I was going to drop him to like number 4. And then I started watching 2023 tape where he was healthy the entire year, the year Michigan won the national championship. He was hurt like the first, in the first 10 plays of last year, had a shoulder injury, ended up getting surgery. So he wasn't nearly as violent and as strong at the point of attack. You watch 2023 and you sit there and you see him move all over the place, line up on the ball, line up wide. He did a double move slant route to the open end of the field that most wide receivers can't do. And for a guy who's close to 6'6", 250 plus pounds, that is rare. Now, he can obviously block at the point of attack. He's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid of mixing it up. I don't think there's not a TJ Hawkinson. There's not a Dan Graham in this draft when it comes to blocking. I just don't think it matters as much as most people say it does at the pro level. You just kind of have to, a tie is a win sometimes in the NFL because the backs are so good. But he's shifty as heck if you watch him. He's really smooth. And the one thing that I really thought was like really a sneaky asset that he had is how he gets off the line of scrimmage when the ball is snapped. Smooth, never stepping underneath himself, never losing ground. I mean, he had 2 different quarterbacks playing for him last year at Michigan. So I do think that overall, everything included, he is the best option at tight end in the draft.
Yeah, and a lot of our draft analysts are kind of split. Some have him going as the first tight end off the board to the Colts. Others, number 22 off the board to the Chargers. Christian, we certainly appreciate it. Always a pleasure going through your top tight end prospects in the upcoming draft. Patriots brass, listen up. Gunner, over to the Patriots. That's what Christian wants. All right, here's the top 5 tight ends. Of course, we just talked about it. Colston Loveland, number 1. Tyler Warren, number 2. And Gunnar Helm, number 3.